A human being is a part of a whole called by us the universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole world of nature in its beauty. And that was said by Albert Einstein. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maxwell Igan. Welcome to Surviving the Matrix. I'm coming to you live today here on American Voice Radio, and I don't really have a great deal prepared, so we'll just see where the show takes us. So what's happening in our world these days, folks? Well, the last few shows I've been addressing some of the bad stuff that's been going on around us, some of the repressive statutes and bills that have been introduced by what I like to refer to as a criminal cabal that is currently controlling this world. So I'd like to maybe get the show onto a little bit more of a positive note today and tackle some of the questions of how we deal with all of this stuff, folks. How do we change it? And I would suggest that the first step in changing the things that we face is to step out of the fear. Not get all worried and fearful about it. It's very much a case of stepping out of the fear. And I know it's hard. You look around you, you have the FEMA camps, the swine flu, the Hitlerian bills that Obama is introducing, Codex, everything. You've got all of this stuff, and it's really easy to just kind of almost go into shock, I think. And I think that's what a lot of people actually do when they find themselves faced with all this stuff. They go into a kind of emotional shock it's almost like a psychic paralysis, or they run straight into denial. One of the two is usually where they go. Whereas they really should do something different. They really should just view it as information. It's all just information. And all information is empowering, and you've got to try and not attach emotion to it. Just view it as information, put away the fear, and when you do that, the rest becomes a lot easier to deal with. All that's really happening is that you're facing the problems that we face, and this really needs to be done in order for us to fix the problems, so we can move on and get this consciousness evolving. Remember that everything is exactly as it should be. This is how the consciousness wakes up and evolves. It has to get negative so we can choose the positive, because one can't exist without the other. I mean, this isn't to say that you should be apathetic, of course, and do nothing and sit there and just focus on the positive. You've got to look at the information and just see it as information and see it as empowering. You can't do nothing, but you've got to step away from the fear and stand up and be who you truly are. And stepping away from the fear is easy, folks, when you know how. And how you do it is to understand your connection to everything and to everyone, and to understand where you as an individual soul is going. Understand your purpose. Understand what your purpose is. And ultimately, your purpose is the same as everyone else, and that is to achieve oneness with the infinite source of all. And folks, all roads lead to Rome, and ultimately there's nowhere else to go. There's no other path. Eventually, no matter what path we choose to get there, each of us each achieve oneness with the infinite source of all, oneness with the Creator, as a result of our progression. We are all on the path back to where we came from. We're all on the way home, all of us. We're all going home. Sometimes the path takes many winds and many turns, and it may take some people a little longer than others, but the reality is that there's only one ultimate destination, and arriving there is unavoidable. Because everything is energy. I've said this many, many times. Everything is energy, and reality is fractal. This whole reality is fractal. And I've said to you also many times before that even science is now stating that consciousness is not local to your body, which means that when you look in the mirror, it's not actually you, it's just the tool that you use to create this reality. And that includes your body, it includes everything around you. The world you live in, it's a construction of your beliefs, your memories, your conditioning. And it confuses you into believing that what you see in the mirror is who you are. And also into thinking what you can and cannot achieve. But it's all illusionary. The real truth is that your outer world is a mirror of your inner self. This is truly how it works. But again, there are different ways of looking at this. The views held by many of those who would term themselves believers in the New Age serve openly as a testimony of how such understandings can be misinterpreted and twisted into self-service and a separation of empathy. This happens to a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people that I've spoken to that would be termed light workers by some. Now, a lot of these people are carrying important messages for humankind, and because of that, it's always these light workers who are under constant attack from energetic forces. These are under attack more than anybody. And a lot of these people succumb to these forces because a lot of the energies first appeared good and positive, but then subtly changed to distract and mislead. And once people are distracted from their true purpose and are separated from empathy, they simply become a vessel for the further polarization of the energy field from which we all draw our energy. I'm probably getting a little bit esoteric here, but that's how it works. There are many who see these energies for what they are, and they don't succumb to them. They remain pure to their being, but half the battle is being aware of it. Half the battle is being able to consider the possibility of it, and to be able to retain your discernment and your objectivity, and to be able to face your shadow self. I mean, remember that about 75% of each of us consists of the shadow self, and it's important to be able to face that shadow, to understand the shadow, and even to embrace the shadow self. Life is a game, folks. It's a game of free will. And there are some people living in very bad parts of the world that are subject to all kinds of difficulties at the hands of someone else who are probably going to disagree with that statement. But it's a collective consciousness, folks. It's just that certain parts of it hold more cards than the other parts, and so they tend to inflict themselves upon others. But you see, the reality that is, well, a lot of it is due to the corrupt and meaningless education systems that have been constructed for our societies. People are becoming more and more disconnected from the source, disconnected from self, and due to this lack of knowledge and this lack of understanding of reality, the world is becoming polarized. Because the less you know about the game of life and the less you remember that you're simply a player in the game of life, then the more senseless living becomes. But the real point is that it's our own personal choice of whether to embrace that reality or not. All of these negative things life itself is providing you with, these are simply tools. You know, all the stuff that's around you, these are simply tools, and you can do with it what you will, but a lot of people don't see it. It's not the tool that's the problem. You know, it's not the fact that such instruments of negativity are there for us to freely use. It's how people react to these tools. I mean, that really is important. The tools are freely provided for us. You know, they're freely provided for you. All the tools to mess your life up as much as you want, to mess your consciousness up as much as you want. But you have the free will choice of whether you will use them or not. You have to take responsibility for that, and you have to realize the truth. Ultimately, when you get down to it, there's only one of us here. You know, remember that. Remember there's only one of us. Understand that, and you'll understand the game and how it works. It really is important, folks. There truly is only one. Just one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. So, who is really and truly responsible for the state of the world today? The Rothschilds? Well, sure, they're a bunch of megalomaniacal criminals, but are they, in inverted commas, really responsible? Are they really responsible? You know, why do you think these people see the media as being so important? You know, the reality is quite different. You know, the media isn't really important. It's how we use it. It's how we view it. You know, the reality is that we, as a society, in this hypnotized and almost catatonic and comatose state, we have given our free will for everything that's going on. We've given our free will consent to the state the planet is in today. Most people in modern societies, I mean, you know, We saturate our minds with all sorts of unhealthy things that are not good for us. I mean, things that are served up for us on television. And people are quite addicted to their televisions. Most people spend their time consuming violence, pornography, greed, selfishness, hatred, incessant bad news and fear and terror. I mean, when was the last time a lot of people out there just stopped and thought about something really, really beautiful and really pure? Something wonderful that really warms your heart and puts that energy into the field. When was the last time you stopped and did that?